Alright, welcome back guys. Yes, I have just woke up, and we've all woke up to some pretty good news, because it looks like Blizzard are actually starting to pay attention to TBC. So Season of Mastery must be coming to a close, because they're actually looking elsewhere, which is really good news. But actually, let me just get a cup of tea and make the bed. Right, okay, that's better. So, what we've got is Blizzard have announced free character transfers from... I'm not going to say it's weird, but from low pop to high pop servers. I mean, in my experience, or from my memory, it's normally from high pop to low pop. They normally open, the full servers, they open those up to like try and alleviate some of the population off of them onto the lower servers. But we're going to actually dig in to the population a little bit shortly. Once we've looked at the blue post, we'll look at the blue post, then we're going to actually have a look at what the statistics are for some of these servers, and then hazard a guess onto what servers it's going to affect, so who's going to get free transfer, and why this is really a good opportunity for Blizzard to actually address faction balance. So instead of the low pop servers, which again, we will get into this into more detail, but looking at the low pop servers, if they allow transfer to only a specific server that requires more of that faction rather than, just go to any full or high pop server you want, then this is a good time to actually start balancing the factions on the servers. In the build-up to Wrath of the Lich King, I had to get it. I've got to get, even though it's a TBC video, I've still got to get Wrath of the Lich King in there somewhere. Come on. And then the other bit of news is that they're addressing bots. They've addressed bots in Season of Mastery. Now they're starting to address bots in TBC as well, which is absolutely fantastic news, and we'll have a look at that. From what I know, this ain't going to have a massive impact on anybody that's not a bot. I can't really think of a single reason why it would really affect anyone that's not a bot. But let's jump in and have a look at these posts. Okay, so we might as well start with the Burning Crusade hotfixes for November the 9th. So there is more than just the one hotfix in regards to just the botting situation, but as part of Burning Crusade Classic hotfixes for November 9th, expert riding is now required to enter Tempest Keep dungeons. You can learn more about TBC transportation in our Burning Crusade Classic flying guide, that's fine. So changing the Neverstorm dungeons to require expert riding is likely basically to combat fly hacking bots that were commonly found in Botanica lower than level 70. So the hotfixes went out on the 9th of November, so they went out yesterday. So if we was to have a look now, we shouldn't see anyone under level 70 in the Botanica if this has had an effect. So we will check that in a second. Burning Crusade Classic, so we've got the Botanica, the Mechana and Arcatraz dungeons now require expert flying skill to enter. Remember, you can't get summoned up there either quite yet. At some point you will be able to, because that was dropped even in original TBC. So the fact that you need to be able to afford flying to even be able to get in here, you would think that that's a big deal, but it's really not, because the Karazhan achievement's been removed anyway. So alright, you'll need expert flying if you want to get the key, but really the only thing you need to get in here for is the Karazhan achievement and some quests and stuff like that, which, if you can't afford expert flying by the time you're ready to go into Arcatraz anyway, I don't see it as a big deal, let's put it that way. But as I say, there could be a long-term impact that I'm not thinking of. So they've also fixed an issue where multiple spectators could join the queue for a spectator match war game. Fixed an issue where poison cleansing totems from Horde Shaman would dispel 2 stacks of poison instantly when used. Man, if I was a Horde Shaman, I would be fuming that I've just read that, because that's pretty OP. That's something that you never want to get in fixing. And then fixed an issue where a player that was attacked by a rogue that immediately vanished after would sometimes drop out of combat much quicker than intended. Okay, that's just a PvP change for Arena more than anything else I can imagine. Let's put this change to the test. So let's quickly log in. My server's a pretty populated one, as when we get onto the free server transfer stuff, you're going to find out about a little bit more about my server anyway. So let's jump in and see if there's anybody in the Tempest Keep dungeons that isn't level 70 and isn't a 68 plus druid. Alright, so I've had to go on my level 1 shaman, because quite annoyingly, I've got no add-ons on this computer. I'm on my spare computer that I've set up especially for the Wrath server that's launching on Saturday. So let's have a look. Who Botanica? None. Who Arcatraz? So no one in Botanica. There's a group of 5 people in Arcatraz, and let's check Mechana. No people in Mechana. Let's quickly create a Horde, see what it's like on the other side. So we'll who Mechana on the Horde. We've got no one on the Horde in Mechana. Just give it a second. And we'll who Arcatraz for the Horde. No one. Well, I mean, it is a weird time of day, but that wouldn't matter. I've not looked at Mechana, have I? It's a weird time of day, but that wouldn't matter when it comes to botting. But overall, I would say, to be fair, that looks like it's worked. Not ordinarily you would have, I don't know, 30, 40 people around the clock, all rogues in Botanica, all under level 70. So this one change that they added as a hotfix yesterday looks like it's done the trick. It's not going to have solved everything because, let's face it, they'll just find somewhere else to bot. But as long as Blizzard are, looking at the reports that are coming in from players from where they were botting in slave pens, then botting in Botanica, etc., and then actually start to take action to find out how they're doing it, preferably banning them. Obviously, preferably ban the bots, but as long as they are doing something to counter it, it's better to see them doing something than seeing them do nothing, which we've seen for so long during TBC. It's a shame Blizzard have come a little bit late to the party, do you know what I mean? We're on our way to Phase 3, and they're just starting to pay attention, but still, it's still good news, so I don't want to take it away from them. Now, the better news, which is how I think they could potentially address faction balance, is the fact that they've said that over the next couple of weeks there's going to be free character transfers. So let's have a look at that. So Blizzard have said in the next couple of weeks we intend to enable free character transfers for many Burning Crusade Classic Realms. We're planning to offer free transfer from all of the lowest population Burning Crusade Classic Realms to any high population realm of the same rule set and region. We will update this post to let you know all the details when we have free character transfers underway. Thank you. No, Blizz. Thank you. So we're going to have a look at Ironforge Pro, which is a website that looks at, I'm going to say rough server populations because it's based off of certain criteria, which we'll have a look at now. How are we going to look at this first? So we're going to look at TBC Classic Realms. Now, population of active characters according to raids uploaded to Warcraft logs and players appearing on PvP leaderboards. So anybody who isn't on Warcraft log, so isn't actively raiding or actively doing PvP, will not show up on this. So it's not exact server populations, but basically we can more or less say that it's showing everyone excluding people that are leveling. And maybe bots and farmers, that's about it. If you can hear birds in the background, I'm sat right by the window and I can hear him twerking away. Twerking? Hang on. Birds don't twerk, do they? Well, birds twerk, but not the birds that are... Never mind. So what we're going to do is look at Europe, because I'm from Europe. So we'll get rid of Russia, we'll get rid of NA, and we'll look at all realms. So all selected realms, the faction balance isn't that bad overall, with 44.9% to 55.1%. These are active PvPers and PvE players. But when we look down, you can see the blue bar represents the Alliance, the red bar represents the Horde. You can see on some of these servers, they look Horde dominated. Pyrewood Village looks like quite Alliance heavy. I'm not going to say dominated. 70%, yeah, it's heavy Alliance but not dominated. When we look at Mograine, 77% Horde. You get the picture. You can see what's going on here. But then when we look at like Razorgore, and it also shows you the amount of players there are. So you've got these really high pop servers like Firemore with 21k, 18k on Gehennas. Pyrewood Village is a PvE server with nearly 10,000, which is really solid. But then as you make your way down, like Earthshaker having 90% Alliance with still a reasonably good amount of active players on, nearly 6k. But then as we make our way even further down, you can see Razorgore's not in a good place. Shazra is nearly 100% Horde, 99.9% Horde. Lucifron, Noggenfugger, both 100% Horde. You can see how these servers, especially when like Noggenfugger's a PvP server, it can't be particularly fun to play on a PvP server when there's no one to PvP against. But then when we get down to these ones, these are the worrying ones. So we've got Judgment and Dreadmist, both 100% Horde, but Judgment's only had 5 people log on it. Dreadmist has only had 47. Or when I say log on it, people who are actively doing end game content through PvE or PvP. Same goes for Stone Spine and Gandling, but they've got a little bit more of a higher population. So let's see how accurate this is first, before we actually talk about what Blizzard could potentially do. So I'm going to create a character on Judgment. So realm name, Judgment, PvP server, low. Now, it said it was a Horde-dominated server, basically, with a whole grand total of 5 people that have done anything this week. So let's check out an Alliance player first. We'll have this guy and we'll call him Derek. I don't know why, but... Oh, I can't even get Derek. What about... We'll go really original and call it Scottejaye then, if I can't get Derek. Make sure all my add-ons are disabled, and let's get in and see how many players there are on the Alliance. So let's look at 10 to 20 first. No one. Let's look at 20 to 30. Wait for it to refresh. No one. 30 to 40. No one. 40 to 50. Oh, okay. So we've got some in the 40s. We've got some rogues, probably bots. I mean, none of them in any guilds or anything like that, but we've got 6 people. All right, and now let's just do 50 to 70. Okay, so we've got a few more. So we've got, like you can see, mainly people who are leveling. There are a decent amount of 70s there, don't get me wrong, but with no guild other than this one on the entire side of the Alliance, which is called Aurum. Shout out to Aurum, who's trying to keep this server alive. There's practically nothing to do. And why is this a bad thing? Because if you're new to the game and you've not played it before, and you're like, right, I missed TBC, I didn't play TBC back in the day, you know, you haven't played WoW since original vanilla, for example, you played vanilla but you quit and didn't play TBC. You come back and there's this server that's got a low population server. You might not fancy a high population server or a full population server on the basis you might be like, well, there's going to be queues, I don't want queues, you know, when I get home from work, I just want to log in. You know, you don't understand how these servers work. These guys have probably started on this server, leveled all the way to 70, or maybe they got to in their 50s or something like that before they realised the server's absolutely dead, and it's ruined their experience for them. A lot of people might start on this server, get to level 30 or something like that, not get any groups, not understand why, not understand where they can check server populations and things like that, and then quit. That's a potential subscriber lost because Blizzard allow their servers to get in states like this. We'll check the Horde side of it as well, because there should be more Horde than Alliance on the basis 5 people done something. I don't know what they done, but they done something in the last couple of weeks to actually get registered on Ironforge Pro. Right, so we'll create a Horde, a Tauren, it's got to be a Druid in it. We'll create a Tauren Druid, and we'll once again call it Scottejaye. Exciting times. Right, so let's just go for it straight away. We'll go who 1 to 70. 34 people. Now that's not too bad, and there is quite a lot of 70s, so you can see how those 5 people, although not many guilds again, the vast majority of people all online on this server have not got a guild. So they're probably just running around solo doing farming and doing whatever. Either way, whatever they're doing, it can't be a very interesting experience. You know, when you've got less than, you know, let's round up quite high. You know, you've got less than 100 people playing on this server, it looks like, at any given time, because this is not, you know, it's not ridiculously early in the EU at the moment, it's not ridiculously late. You know, the servers should be relatively active at the moment, not as active as they will be in, say, 5 or 6 hours time, but even if this server population doubled this evening, it's still as dead as most, you know, private servers that no one play on. You know, if you picture a really, really dead private server, one that springs to mind was Entropius, which was a TBC server. You know, that was more or less dead on arrival, and it still had a higher population than this. So what can they do? Let's have another look at Ironforge Pro. There's no point checking any other servers because we know what we're going to see. So we'll have another look at Ironforge Pro and look at how they could at least manage some of these lower population servers and how low do they want to go. So when we come down here, so we've got Judgment, Dreadmist and Gandling. So overall, you know, you can say if it says 215 people on Gandling, for example, are actually doing anything, odds are the server population's probably double that, let's say. So let's say there's 500 there, 100 there, and we know Judgment's got actually more than what it says there on 5, you know. So if we said between all of them there was, I don't know, let's say 500. It's probably not quite that, but let's say 500. They're all Horde realms, and we could chuck Stone in there as well, because they're all PvP servers, all EU English-speaking PvP servers. You could almost force transfer to either Earthshaker, which would really be your number one, wouldn't it? You'd want to send as many more Horde to Earthshaker as you can, because it's already a good populated server, but we can try to start to bring that blue bar down. So you could have Earthshaker as one potential place that you could go. If you wanted to allow it to transfer to a PvE server, you could put Pirewood Village, but they have said it needs to stay the same rule set in the same region, so even though you can transfer from PvP to PvE, they probably won't allow it in this free character transfer. But you get what I'm getting at here. You know, if they look and they actually send, you know, the only options are the servers that's going to actually try and balance those servers, that would be good. Because the same applies when you look at something like Bloodfang. Now, Bloodfang's still not very big, but it's alliance heavy. So now you could force Bloodfang to go on to something like, let's look at what Bloodfang actually is. So just an EU PvP realm with a very, very heavy alliance bias. You could almost force them to go to Shazra. Or Razor Gore. You know, these are the same rule sets, but that are dominated by Horde. And then if you was to say they're going to go any server that's under, let's say, 2.5k. So now you've got Heartstriker here, which is Alliance dominated as an EU German server. 91% Alliance. You could almost force these to go onto Dragon's Call, which has got 2,249 Horde players. Heartstriker's got just under, let's say, 2,000 Alliance. and it's already current. The other server's already currently got 1,000. So yes, it's then going to sway slightly into the Alliance favour possibly, but there is this small 9% there of Horde which could also go on to Dragon's Call. So it's sticking as an EU German server, PvP, and it would end up, Dragon's Call would probably end up being a fairly decently balanced server if they just forced transfer rather than optional free transfer. They just said, look, if you play on Heartstriker, you're now going to be on Dragon's Call. Because you are going to get those people that are just completely like, no, I'm not moving. This is the server I started on in 2019. I'm not going anywhere. What good's that? I've moved server. I started on Earthshaker. And looking at it, I'm glad I got off Earthshaker because it's one of those that's massively Alliance dominated. So I think these free server transfers are an absolute brilliant idea. And I think it could really help if they do it properly and don't just allow people to more or less go to any server they want, which could cause even more faction imbalance. If they look at it, they offer transfer to only the specific realms that are going to benefit from having more of that faction and possibly enforce it. I think enforcing it at this point to force faction balance on the servers is the way to go, personally. Let me know in the comments what you think. But that's the update for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked my bedroom. Next time, I'll try and not start the video in a dressing gown. Be sure to like and subscribe for loads more TBC, Wrath of the Lich King, Season of Mastery, everything Blizzard related, basically, content, and I'll see you on the next one.